Good morning, everybody. This is the Made in Paradise podcast. It's Friday, June the 12th. I'm your host, John Clark, along with my co-hosts, Darren Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson. And we talk about life and love and ethics and morals and everything every day, Monday through Friday. If you like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe, and you'll hear some more from us next week. What I want to talk about this morning is being offended. So let me read this. The moment you choose to feel insulted, you've blocked yourself from learning anything from the situation you are experiencing. The solution is to resist feeling offended, humble yourself, and see what life is trying to teach you. And very often I hear people say, I'm offended, especially online, right? We see it all the time. People say, I'm offended about this, I'm offended about this, I'm offended about the other thing. And the truth is about being offended is I never see that it helps. It's like being angry. The moment you get angry, you've lost the truth. You cannot see clearly. Anger instantly blinds, and so does being offended. It instantly blinds. You can't see it. Are some things offensive? Yes. But the solution is not to get into the offense because it's just a waste of time. What has happened is, if you can do something about it, move towards the solution in joy. Move towards the solution in happiness. Right? But don't get offended, because getting offended doesn't do anything but just hand your emotions over to the situation or person who has offended you. I mean, if you can offend me right now in this moment, then I'm just opening myself up and saying, here, take control of my emotion. If you can make me angry, you're taking control of my emotion. I don't think anybody wants to be controlled by another person, but yet people constantly give over their agency, their ability to see clearly to another person or situation that they have no control over. Darren Fingleton, what's your thoughts on the subject? Being offended.
I think people waste too much time on it. If someone says something to me if they have true value in my life and they say something to me, I have to think that maybe they are trying to tell me something. But if somebody online or just off the street says something to me that I don't agree with, I don't listen to it. I let it go. Why would I waste any extra? Right. Yeah.
Right.
Why would I carry on with something like that? You
see sometimes on Facebook where people will make a joke about, spirituality is spending your life online arguing with people. Right, something of that nature. And I see people get offended, and you see all the comments go back and forth, and this is this and this and this, and especially over politics, right?
Yeah.
And you have virtually no control. The idea that your vote makes a difference in national elections, even in state elections, is questionable when there's election finances the way that it is, when so many special interest groups can put it in there, yet people are they stay offended and they stay offended. And I see people who follow my guru, and then they, at the same time, are cussing one political side or the other. And that's not it. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is we are one. God is one. We are one. Consciousness is one. That's what spirituality is. And anytime you've picked one side or the other in duality, you've lost the truth. Because the truth is to the present, in the middle, neutral. The moment you add emotion to something, you've lost the truth. In order to see something clearly, you have to look at it and process it without emotion, because your emotion is connected to your ego, which is connected to your opinion. Anthony, what do you think about being offended? I mean, because I know that you're not normally offended. Like, and if someone insulted you, you might just smile like you're doing right now and let it go. But tell me what goes on internally when someone says to you something that's genuinely offensive. I mean, that genuinely is going to twist inside you.
I would say I would thank my mother, because back in the time when I was a kid, I used to come back from school, right? And I used to be like, oh, mama, that little kid was saying something rude to me, whatever, right? And then she taught me, she said, if you react to that bullying, right? Because back in the time we didn't call it bullying. He gonna find that he have power on you, and then you continue saying the same thing to you. So she said, whenever he said that to you, if you don't pay any attention to that and you keep smiling, he will realize that it's not offending you, and he will switch to someone else. And then I realized,
that's correct.
That is the secret. And that then
told my kids the same thing, same lesson, right? If someone is picking at you and you don't react, they're trying to get a reaction, right? They're trying to get you upset, trying to lift the hair on the back of your neck. They're trying to do it. And if you don't react, most of the time it just goes away. Go find someone else. I was fortunate enough to be 6'5" when I was 13 years old. So bullying was never really anything I had to deal with. But I saw it, right? I saw it often, and I see it today, right? I see today people they just pick, right? They just pick and pick and pick and see if they can get something out of you.
I see people do it online all the time where they're just commenting on the stupidest things to see what reactions they get.
To see the reaction they can get. And the algorithms on all the platforms reward that, right? They reward
engagement,
volatility, violence of thought, conflict. I mean, because I follow a page on Instagram called Upworthy, and they only put up good news, right? And they get a lot of likes or whatever, but it's very rare. It's one of the rare Instagram pages that just focuses on good news all the time. And they give all these stories about families and kids and people and whatever else, right? It just all these very stories. But I thought, this is the most unpopular thing in the world. They're like NBC News used to have a segment at the end. I don't know if they still do it, but they would do 20 minutes of the horrible worst situations in the world, and then go, oh, and there's good news tonight, right at the end, right? And then they'd show some school class or whatever. But speaking of harsh transitions, right? The news is just negative. It is. And it's negative because that's what we want. We want to hear about the gossip, right? Don Henley wrote the song Dirty Laundry. We love dirty laundry. We love to hear you get in a gossip situation or whatever and follow that situation through. Just on and on and on. We love it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what's sad is I saw many people like in social media, like Darren said, that probably let's say this person is following this team, whatever, football, soccer team, and this other person following this other team. And then someone just comment, oh, John that's belongs to this team is better than Darren. And people get upset. And no, Darren is better than John, and no, John. And wait a minute, and John and Darren, they're friends, even though that they belongs to different teams, and you fighting for them, you getting upset.
Messi and Rolando, huh?
Messi and Ronaldo.
I just like,
right?
Okay.
Right.
It's just a game, right? It's just a game, and the importance that you put on, the stress that goes into it, all of those are internal, personal decisions that the person makes. It makes their life miserable.
Yeah.
Because you get more of what you think and who you are. Go ahead.
I do have to say that there are times where, you do catch yourself on social media and you find a comment that's like, some shit's about to come up from this, and you read like 5 or 6 more comments that go below it, and you're like, all right, I'm just wasting my time now.
You're right. And I'm sometimes very tempted when I see someone who follows our guru Maharaji, and they're bashing some politician, whoever it happens to be, horribly, right? Like just saying something completely horrible. And Maharaji said, never say anything that could hurt anyone. Love everybody, right? And I get so tempted just to take one of his memes and just drop it on their thing and say, what are you doing? Why are you involved in this conversation? Why are you attacking this person and at the same time claiming Maharaji? This is the problem with evangelicals, right? The problem with evangelicals and Jesus in the church is the way Christians act.
Yep.
Because they're not Christ-like. They don't try to love their neighbor as themselves, right? They don't try to love the Lord their God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. They're not even trying. They're going to a country club for poor people. That's what the church is. Right?
Yep.
I remember I was on this finance committee one time at this church, and there was an older guy sitting next to me. I must have been in my late 20s at the time, and I think he was in his 60s, and we were in this finance meeting, and it was going on, and we were listening to each person. He leaned over and he whispered in my ear, and he said, never forget this. He goes, middle managers that are never going to go anywhere and can't afford the country club, come and exercise their power at the church. Right? And that's a horrible thing to say. I mean, it doesn't sound, it's not beneficial to anybody, but it's true. It's absolutely true. You can't afford the country club, you go to the church. And there you try to exercise your power. You go to the country club, you'll see a whole other level of income people exerting their power and status. So, Anthony Ferguson, what do you got for us today?
Right before we start recording this podcast, we had a very interesting conversation. So let me go to my question. If we could all read minds for a day, what do you think would happen?
Well, I would go in a closet somewhere so no one could read mine.
Right.
So, I'm going to tell you something now that through my meditation, I have been surprised at some of the things I am mentally able to do. And so many years ago, when I was meditating, sometimes multiple hours a day, I decided to start trying to read minds. I decided I was going to intentionally try to be able to read other people's minds. And I started studying about that and practicing about that and on and on. And I'll tell you what I discovered. I have discovered that our frontal lobe right here is where we form our conscious thought, right? And I have discovered that if you're paying attention and someone is thinking a thought hard enough, it's almost as if it appears, that thought will appear right here on the front. And I can't physically see it, but I can sense the thought that's there and what it is, if they think it very hard, right? And so I was trying this more and more and more, and I was in a business meeting one day with a whole bunch of guys, and I just started trying it, and all of a sudden I felt like getting transmissions from several of them, and it was almost frightening because I had never seen streams of information come at me from other people that way. But what I want to tell you about it is this: you don't want to be in anybody else's head. You think that there's some stuff in your head that you wish wasn't there. In other people's stuff, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want in your head. You just don't want it in your head. And their motivation and what they're doing it's disgusting. So, right. Darren, what do you think? What would society be like if everybody could read everybody's mind for a day, except for a mass number of divorces and probably murders?
Well, if it's just for one day, I think the entire world would obviously see things a lot differently. Especially you just walk down a block and you're just waving at your neighbors, and I think you just see that person as a whole new person. Everybody that you came in contact with that day, you just see them completely different. But let's say if we started off and from the day one we were able to do it, I think we'd see the whole world much more differently. I think the people would be a lot more truthful because obviously you'd see it immediately.
Right. So do you think most relationships would survive a day of mind reading?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, shit.
No,
Oh, shit.
I don't. As a person who has worked very hard to control my thoughts, it's a very, very challenging thing to do, and it takes years to refine it. Maybe there are other methods to do it faster, but through meditation, it takes years to control your thoughts. And sometimes thoughts just come into my head that I think, what, why is that there? But consciousness is a field. Your mind is a receiver. Consciousness does not initiate inside your mind. It initiates outside of your mind. Your brain's like a radio receiver. So I'm reading these Seth books, and in those Seth books, I think Seth would say, we're basically all reading each other's minds anyway. And if you study the biology of the brain, I don't remember what it's called, but I believe it's on the left-hand side of your brain. There's an area right in here, and all that area of your brain does is try to decide what other people are thinking. That's what the purpose of that is, right? To look at that other person, and that's our empathy, and that's our knowing when you made your wife mad, right? All of that kind of stuff that we're assuming. We see the body language, or we hear a tone, right? And that part of that brain is lighting up and saying, what does that mean? What do they say? What do they really mean? But to have it all out in the open all the time would be horrible.
Right.
Be completely horrible, because so many people are having so many dark thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what do you think would be the biggest negative consequence a huge war or whatever.
I mean, we're just theorizing now, but like I said, I think you'd have massive breakups all over the place. Because how often do we agree to something, but we really don't agree inside?
Yeah.
We just smile and say, okay.
Right.
But we don't agree with it at all inside. Right. It's basically a lie on our part. Right. An omission of the truth, right? We're deceiving with happiness.
Right. So which group would be most affected? Politicians, celebrities, business leaders, or ordinary people?
Who would be most affected?
Right.
Well, I think if you start with talking about politicians, they're all really for themselves, right? I mean, everyone around the president is thinking to himself, I would do a better job. Yeah. Everyone, literally everyone thinks I will do a better job. And it's the same time, the same way in a lot of companies and a lot of organizations, in churches, right? You have a lead pastor, and then you have the youth pastor and the adult minister and the kids minister and sometimes you have, 7 or 8 ministers, and all of them think they're a better preacher, and all of them think they're a better leader, and all of them think they have better ideas. It would break down all of our society, Anthony, instantly. Even one day of it. I think an hour of it would do it. It would completely and utterly wreck our society.
Okay, one last question. So, what secret do you think most people are hiding?
What secret do I think most people are hiding? Most people are trying to hide their fear. They're trying in some way to hide the fact that they're afraid of whatever, because all negativity starts with fear.
Right.
And if you're unafraid, there is no negativity. Fear is the opposite of love.
Right. And no matter if you're rich, if you're a rich person or a poor person, everyone has something that they fear of, right?
In my experience, the rich people are much more afraid than the poor people are.
Wow.
They think that they think that they're secure. They say that they're secure, but they don't act like it. And that's what greed is. Greed is fear run amok. It's fear exponentially put out there. Because if you look at the amount of money, I don't know if you heard today, but today Elon Musk is becoming a trillionaire.
Yeah.
Right. And you have a small group of people who would all fit on one school bus, who have more money than the lower half of the whole planet combined. Okay, that is fear at an insane level. And they would all say, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm a billionaire. I'm a million. I'm not afraid of anything. Then if you're not, why are you not helping?
Right.
And if you're not helping in a way that disturbs your comfort, or what I mean is if you have $1 billion and you give away $1 million, right? So you're giving away 0.1%. You won't even feel it.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
You don't feel that. You don't feel that in your lifestyle, anything. So most rich people give out of guilt, right? There you go. Or they give out of a status desire. Look at me, what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's all on my side.
All right, Darren Fingleton, on the stage. What do you got for us? Well,
I think this conversation, since it's Friday, it'll be a fun one. But I kind of want to ask you both, what was your first job? So let's start with Anthony. Anthony, what was your first job? What did you do? What was it?
Construction. I was working at a young age as helping my dad in construction. So that was my first job, and I received.
But doing what? Doing what? Were you concrete? Were you?
No, building houses. Right. I started.
Okay.
Building, right.
But you did the whole thing. So you're putting up cinder blocks. You repel.
Yeah. As a helper, you got to mix cement and bring the blocks and hold and hammer and all that. So. Yeah, that was my first job, and I received paid for it. So that was my first job. Probably at 8 or 9 years old.
Right. Okay. And what about you, John? What was the first thing that you got paid for?
The criteria is like getting a paycheck, right?
Yeah. Very first thing.
I would say it have to be. I would say. I really don't recall, Darren, if I was getting paid to cut grass. I cut a lot of grass for a couple of 3 years. And I was getting paid for that, right? But a lot of that was more like contract, where a guy with a lawn company would call me because he got a big job, and I go out for 3 days and help them cut or whatever, and do all the stuff they didn't want to do, pick up leaves, whatever. And so I got paid for that. But the job that taught me the most, I think, as in the first kind of real job, I was 13, that really taught me a lot, was working for my cousin, who's the fireworks king of Southwest Louisiana. And he would set up twice a year on 4th of July and on Christmas. And he had these big tents and these, and he sold Christmas trees too, but he would put locations all over Southwest Louisiana. And in the beginning, when I was 13, I was just working for him as a cashier. And then as the years progressed and I get older, I think maybe I was 15 when I started managing a tent for him. And so in between all of that, I was also working at the computer store. So when I was 13, I was doing fireworks, but I was also working at the SoftSys computer store, and I would also cut grass. So
wow,
just, because, the computer habit was dastardly expensive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my Apple II, I figured that I probably put $10,000 in it over the course of 3 or 4 years, right? Because when I bought it, it had 2 floppy drives and a green monitor, and I think that was $3,000, $2,700, something like that. It was a crazy amount of money. My parents were like, "Cannot believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're spending this money on they thought it was a game, right? Because all they had ever seen was Atari. But I'm just saying, I had that expensive habit, and if I wanted anything for it, I mean, the first modem I bought was $900. It ran at 300 baud.
Wow.
And that was just after coupler modems had gone away. So a coupler was, you picked up the phone handset and you put it on top of a thing that it fit down into, and it would go like that, and the text would come across the screen this way. But I was working anywhere I could. And the other thing I did when I was young, I would go volunteer for other people to work for them. They'd say, "I have this hard job." I said, "Can I go do that with you?" And then I just go do it with them. And I did construction and all kinds of things. I might do it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then get paid. I mean, you guys know, I know a lot of stuff about a lot of things. And I got that way from applying myself in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now tell us, what was the worst job you've ever had to do? And how long did that last?
Like the worst physical job or the worst job because of the person that was in the job?
It could have been whatever. I mean, physical or
the first thing that came to mind is I used to work for this kind of a closeout company in a rep group, and the guy who ran it, he would say this over and over. He would say, "I overpay everybody so I can abuse them." And he did. He emotionally and verbally abused people constantly. Even his own daughter, he would pit his own employees against each other. It was just, and I was making 50% more than I could make anywhere else. So I put up with it for a long time because of that. Just what he said, right? I overpay everybody so I could abuse them. And he did. But I saw a meme this morning on LinkedIn that said, people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses.
Yep, I've heard of that. Anthony, what about you? What was the worst job you've ever had to do?
Well, I work with my dad and I make some money. So I bought my own weed whacker. So I was making the garden for a lady, a Canadian lady, and it was a huge yard, right? So I was using the weed whacker, and you have the mask. So whenever you have the mask on and you go under a tree, the shadow and the mask, you can't see good, right? So I'm using the weed whacker, and I felt something all on my face, right, through the mask, and I lift up the mask and there's a little dog poo, like all on my face and everything, on my shirt and all that, the dog poo. Oh no! So the thing is that I continue, and at the end of the day, the lady said she had not paid me. Because,
oh wow!
Yes.
So because why?
Because the thing is that they didn't put when you have any kind of plantation, you put sticks around it to keep it away from the. So it seems like I hit one of her plant, whatever, flowers, and she was upset, right? So she's like, "I'm not gonna pay you. I'm not gonna pay you." So I get all that I do that for free.
No. You got dog poo in the face. Oh,
right.
That's good. What a shitty situation.
Right.
All right, we got anything else, or are we good?
Well, I was just going to ask you, what did you guys learn? What was the biggest takeaway that you learned from those worst places that you had to work?
Well, in my scenario, let me go ahead with Midnight Jones have his idea. In my scenario, I learned from that day that first of all, I'm gonna walk around with any customer and make sure where you have your flowers or where you have your stuff, and then we're gonna walk around together and we're gonna be both agreeing the same thing, and then I'm gonna charge you and you're gonna pay for that. So I learned a lesson from the first Canadian lady.
Mm-hmm. What about you, John?
For,
what was the biggest
for me, it was
takeaway?
just leadership. It was just leadership because it was making me decide the next time I'm in a leadership position, I'm going to be an even better boss. I'm going to be even more considerate. I'm going to watch all of these things that he's doing. I'm going to make sure I do the opposite. Right. And I did. He built a big company and took some of his people with me when I left. Right. Because they didn't want to be there either. They were the ones saying, John, please leave. We'll follow you. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, so that all worked out fine. But I always take negative people as an example of what not to do.
Yep. The two ways of learning what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching today. This has been the Made in Paradise podcast for Friday, June the 12th. I'm John Clark, along with Darren Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on Monday. And now it's time for a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Proven Performer. We are a firm that sells big closeout and liquidation deals by truckload, by a dozen truckloads, by 100 truckloads. If you have a big closeout problem, we would love to talk to you. Buying or selling doesn't matter. We have over 500 customers we've done business with in 26 different countries. And we are absolutely committed to integrity in every transaction that we do, because this is a business about trust. And today, excitingly, we have 6 new deals to talk about, starting with Exo drones. Now, these Exo drones, we have 3,400 flyable units in this lot that retail for over $1 million. Over $1 million. And this is at today's prices. Now, even though these drones were manufactured a little ways back, when I did the checking, I made sure to check the technology as of today and say, hey, what's really the value here? We're talking about $1 million worth of drones. If you went to buy them right now in China, you're talking about over $300,000 for the exact same technology, FOB China. And this has a real brand name, Exo, that's been placed in major retailers, including Best Buy and others. 3,400 flyable drones ready to go, all in beautiful retail boxes. This includes the Recon, the Scout, the Cinemaster 2, the Blackhawk 2 and 3. Those Blackhawks used to retail $700 a piece, right? You can see them on eBay now for a couple of $100. And the X7 Ranger Plus. In addition to 3,400 flyable drones, there are thousands of accessories, extra batteries, extra propellers, extra controllers, everything you need for this. This deal really could put somebody in the drone business on the internet. Probably would be a great thing for Whatnot if you're in a major market. Here's some of the actual shots of some of these boxes. And this is all brand new now. This is 100% crisp, never been opened. I got pictures right here. The case packs are completely in the case packs. 3,400 flyable units, 1 million in retail, 300,000 FOB China. If you have to replace this stuff, $79,000 FOB Illinois. This is working out to about $25 a drone. So you're running drones that 2 or 3 years ago were $700. They have tons of features, right? Tons and tons of features, and $25 a drone. This is crazy. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy good price. Please reach out to us. Completely manifested. 3,400 Exo drones, $79,000, Xworks, Illinois. Our next deal is the Century Swap-On Modular Bassinet. And Century is a super popular baby item on Instagram. We have 460 of these, Xworks, Texas. This is an Amazon's Choice item. Here we have some actual pictures of the box. Got a UPC code on it. You can see that over on the top. Everything comes with the manual. They're brand new and sealed, like you can see on the slide here on the right. All the original Century tapes on them. 100% perfect. ready to go. It's on 10 pallets. Your cost, $35. Take them all. 460 units. The Century Swap-On Modular Stroller Bassinet. Amazon's choice was over $100 here just a couple of weeks ago, down to $96.90 now. But $35 your cost. Take all 460 units of the Century Bassinet. Deal number 3 is Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Ice Cold Brew K-Cups, a 10-pack. We have 4,000 cases of these. So you're talking about 24,000 units. Again, this is a 10-pack, 140 cases per pallet, expiration at the end of October. So you got plenty of dating here to go along. FOB Pennsylvania. You don't have to take it all. Call us and let us know. Use the numbers down at the bottom or email us and say, hey, I'd only like 1,000 cases. Let's see if we can get it done. Let us know what you need. The Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Cold Brew K-Cups. Deal number 4 is General Mills Corn Checks. We have 1,096 cases of this. There's 16 12-ounce boxes per case. These are stackable pallets, as you can see on the right. The dating is at the end of September. Still a whole lot of runway. General Mills, gosh, been around since I was a kid, right? 60, 70 years, major brand name. These are $2 a box. $2 a box, 1,000 cases. General Mills Corn Checks. Again, doesn't have to take them all. You want 500 cases, call us, text us, email us. Let's see what we can do. Let's talk about it. Deal number 5 is these Altor masks. Now, back during COVID, these got extremely cheap, and these are still extremely cheap, believe it or not. This is a 50-pack, doesn't expire until 2027 in April, and they're 35 cents a piece. 35 cents for 50 masks, right? So you're talking about less than 1 cent a mask. 100% brand new, all case packed, made in the USA, as you can see right there, expires 2027, 35 cents a box. About 40,000 boxes on a trailer. We have 3 trailers of them left. Let us know if that's something that you can use. And our last deal of the day is on these Blackweb Apple watch bands. Now, there's a lot of third-party watch bands in the market, and we know the value of this is getting really low. The owner of this product has said, hey, I just want it out. Just get me any kind of a reasonable offer. So it's going to go cheap. If this is something you can use, please reach out to us. I think the owner's going to take any acceptable offer on these, and we can get it through and shipped out to you. If you can use 63,000 units of genuine Apple watch bands from Blackweb. And let me say this here as we wrap up our deal section today. We are acting just like a manufacturer's rep. So we don't collect any money. We don't sell these deals. If you're interested in a deal, we're going to connect you directly with the vendor. You're going to pay the vendor. The vendor's going to ship you the product, and they pay us as a manufacturer's rep. So just so you know, that's how we do business. And we would love to do some with you. Our numbers are below, and we're on WhatsApp all day. Feel free to email us or reach out and call. If you're a Spanish speaker, habla español y necesito hablar en español, o sea que cualquier ganga nosotros tenemos. Llamar Anthony Ferguson, and his Spanish is way better than mine. This has been the sponsorship portion of the Made in Paradise podcast. For Darren Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson, I'm John Clark. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye, guys.